Hi, I'm Ragenade, and I answer questions literally no one cares about. What's the deal with Icy? When just playing the game normally, Icy seems to just be the mascot for Icy's Pizza, but for some reason, Icy is also like a cryptid that Noel mentions both in the game and in the Spamton sweepstakes. But given the fact that I am the same guy who analyzed Jockington for 45 minutes, I'm going to continue talking about irrelevant characters. So let's actually take a look at Icy and determine whether or not he's Gaster. People say I overanalyze a lot of stuff in Deltarune. I'm not really sure what they're talking about. I'm trying to complete my rite of passage for being a Deltarune YouTuber. I haven't made a Gaster theory yet, so this is my compensation, or else I can't get my Deltarune license. But first, let's take a step back and determine how I even got to this point in the first place. And for that, let's talk about Undertale. The idea for this theory originally spawned from a one-off joke in a completely different video I was working on, which was going to be a retrospective on Gaster theories, but then I threw myself into the worst rabbit hole of all time and started making this theory instead. Oh joy! As you probably know, Undertale has multiple different fun value events that happen based on the random fun value you're assigned at the start of a new Undertale save. These can range from the wrong numbers song to Sans asking about your fridge, but the most notable events are the Gaster-related events. There are the Gaster followers that have a chance to appear when your fun value is at a specific point in the 60s. There's Goner Kid, who describes a phenomena that seems very similar to what happened to Gaster. There's the sound test that features Trouble Dingle and absolutely nothing else. Oh, and then, at fun value 66, you get a 10% chance to find the Mystery Man sprite, who, given our current knowledge, is probably Gaster. Or it's just that one character from You and Nikki, I don't fucking know. Alright, wing Gaster time. Now, the specific events I listed all have something in common, and it's not just their connections to Mr. Wingding. No, actually, it's that in the first ever release of Undertale, all of these fun value events were bugged and could not happen naturally in-game. It had to do with the capitalization, because the fun value should be all lowercase, but these events in the code had an uppercase letter originally, so if you wanted to see these events, you had to edit your save file. Now, obviously, this could be completely unintentional, but I'm really fucking annoying. So, of course I'm gonna suggest that it could be intentional instead. Don't you just find it odd that the events that were bugged were specifically these ones? All of these events that seem pretty closely related in one way or another? Well, that was the conclusion I came to. I have no way of knowing for sure. I don't know what you want me to do, put Toby Fox into some weird device and analyze his brain. But I just found it very interesting that these specific fun value events were bugged. It made it seem less like it was unintentional and more like Toby wanted them to be found at some point. Like, this was his way of determining if people would be interested in such a mysterious character like Gaster. Well, that conclusion seems decently legitimate, but I did neglect to mention that there was another fun value event that was bugged, and it was the Nightmare Mode Icy Word Search. So that kind of threw a wrench into that idea. Actually, no. It went to a tool store, bought 28 wrenches, and started beating the idea to death. What if? What if this was intentional? What if there's something here? What if Gaster and Icy are more connected than we think? They probably aren't, but in typical Ragenade fare, let's just get into this unhinged rabbit hole. Something I noticed when thinking about and researching for this video is that Icy appears in a lot of strange places in Deltarune. Obviously he's in Icy's, but he appears a decent amount outside of that. There's graffiti of him in the alleyway, he has a movie for some reason, there are these shadowy versions of him that come out of the pipes and TV world, there's this Icy statue thing, there's this word puzzle in Chapter 2, Noel randomly mentions him, he also attempts to murder James Rolfe.
Oh no, it's okay, I don't want to hurt you, I just want to suck on your balls!
What? And he's even mentioned in the Spamton sweepstakes. Remember that one specifically, because I'm coming back to you later. So Icy is just kinda everywhere. But remind me of something real quick. What's a specific thing relating to Gaster that people have been losing their minds over in both Undertale and Deltarune for a decade now, mostly due to 4 musical notes? That's right, the idea that Sans' nest.
Too straight. No, not in that way.
The idea that Gaster is everywhere. Because Gaster was shattered across time and space, a pretty common idea regarding Gaster is that he's literally everywhere, and a major piece of evidence for this is his motif. Gaster's theme is made up of a really simple musical pattern, so by proxy, it's been able to worm its way into numerous songs across the Undertale and Deltarune soundtracks. Because the motif is so simple, it appears fucking everywhere, and we don't really know whether or not it's intentional. Like, is it really intentional that Gaster's theme appears in Scarlet Forest? Yeah, probably. That was a really bad example. But the point stands. It's an incredibly simple musical idea, so it can be found in a ton of songs across both soundtracks, either in more obvious ways or more subtly. For example, if you take the first 3 notes of Bit Roots, you can actually make Gaster's theme. given that you switch the first 2 notes around and shift the 3rd note up an octave. But by doing all this, you get the exact same note intervals, which means that you can transpose it to the key of Gaster's theme and perfectly recreate it. Now, with how much work has to go into finding this motif here, it makes me think it's probably not intentional, but it is interesting, and I wouldn't fully roll it out. It is connected to this roots idea, after all, which is also probably connected to Gaster, because Deltarune is Gaster the video game. But enough said. Gaster's theme. It's everywhere. Andrew Cunningham has a really great video about this that you've already probably seen, considering it has way more views than this video will ever get. But if you haven't seen it, I recommend it. Gaster's theme appearing either intentionally or unintentionally across both games heavily contributes to the idea that Gaster is everywhere. His fingerprints are all over these fucking games, especially Deltarune. So you have a character that just randomly appears in both Hometown and different Dark Worlds for no apparent reason, and another character who is all over both Hometown and the Dark Worlds in a more subtle way. Next, let's get back to that Spamton sweepstakes thing that I was talking about. On the Spamton sweepstakes page, there's this image that brings you to a page where Noelle talks about an icy box. It's a pretty simple page, just a funny joke about an icy box being evil and possessed or something. There's nothing really interesting about it at all, actually. She burned out icy eyes. Icy is used to foreshadow Eram. Burned out eyes is a reference to Burning Eyes, which is Eram's boss. Eram, you know, the thing in the shelter in the sword route? The shelter, you know, the thing that plays a slowed down Gaster noise? Additionally, another character might foreshadow Burning Eyes in the game, and that's a character that we already know has some sort of connection to Gaster, and that's Spamton. In his normal battle, he says,
Hey, oh, I've never seen
"Punch your objects
like that before. My eyes are burning like
DVDs of any movie at half price.
Alright, shut up, you gross garbage goblin. So not only does Spamton, the character that is very likely connected to Gaster in one way or another, foreshadow Burning Eyes, but now Icy is also used to foreshadow Burning Eyes, which connects him to the fucking Gasterland amusement park over here. Also, a little fun fact, Burning Eyes isn't the only song foreshadowed in the sweepstakes. As in the description for this marriage cutting board thing, the South of the Border is referenced, which is the Island of Love song in Chapter 3. These guys are so fucking divorced. In Hometown mythology, Icy is a cryptid, or at least according to Noelle, or more accurately, her Google searches. In Noelle's room in Queen's Castle, you can take this Icy statue back to Castletown, but when you take it, it tells you that this is here because Noelle searched, "Is Icy real cryptid?" instead of Skinwalker's Hometown is Icy. That's way fucking scarier. I think I heard something else in my house. Real quick though, let's think about what a cryptid even is. Cryptids are creatures that people say exist, however they haven't been proven to exist and have sometimes even been disproven. Think the Loch Ness Monster, for example. The Loch Ness Monster relies on personal anecdotes from people who have supposedly seen it, which is not the best evidence in this scenario, and also pictures. Pictures that have pretty constantly been disproven. A lot of evidence regarding Ness is either misinterpreting something completely normal, a hoax, or just not substantial enough for literally anyone to give a shit. That's what a cryptid is. So now, let's think about Gaster. Obviously, from our perspective on the outside, we can pretty easily prove Gaster's existence, unless you're a Gaster denier, but then why the hell are you watching this video, and why have you made it this far into the video? There's plenty of evidence of Gaster, but that's in our perspective of playing the game. Think in universe. How could you really prove Gaster's existence? For all intents and purposes, he has practically been erased from history. No one knows who Gaster is except for the Gaster followers. And in Deltarune, he's probably the forgotten man. No one remembers Gaster after he got shattered across time and space. Therefore, his existence can't really be proven. In fact, in-universe evidence would go against Gaster's existence because, again, no one knows who he is and he's been basically erased from history. So we know about Gaster and we can see that he exists, but we can't really prove it in universe. As in, well, we're the soul, because again, in our world, as the video game Deltarune, we can pretty easily prove Gaster's existence.
Neiman, you lost the fucking part.
No, I didn't. Look, you can't fucking do this, kid.
Okay, we're done talking about Noelle now. The next piece of evidence lies in Goner Central. I'm on to you two. In Chapter 4, there's this little blurb that tells you that the Icy's mascot, Icy, is being replaced due to licensing concerns. Now, there's a few interesting things about this. First, I guess this tells us that Icy wasn't created for Icy's Pizza. If it's licensing concerns, then that means Icy is an existing character that Icy's just used, I guess. I can't entirely tell if by licensing concerns, they mean that Icy's just doesn't really have the money or something like that to continue using Icy, Or that they just fucking stole the character and are trying to avoid being sued. Which begs the question, who's the lawyer in Hometown? What law firm exists in Deltarune? What does that have to do with Gaster? Nothing. Just felt like mentioning it because I wanted to. Lawyer Gaster theory. But Icy being replaced does still parallel Gaster a little bit. After Gaster tripped and fell into the core or something, he was replaced as the Royal Scientist by Alphys. So, Alphys became the new Royal Scientist while Gaster was erased. Icy is being erased from the company history as he's being replaced with a new mascot. And even though this isn't Gaster, this can also parallel Gerson in a way who does parallel Gaster. Gerson used to be a teacher at Hometown School before he passed away and was replaced with none other than Alphys. Gerson was also swallowed up by the worlds he created in Lord of the Hammer, similar to how Gaster fell into his creation. They were both swallowed by their work in one way or another, and Alphys is directly referred to as Gerson's replacement by Alvin. So, Icy somewhat parallels both Gaster and Gerson, who also parallels Gaster. And now... Okay, hang on a second. Hi, I'm RageNade, but 186 days after I finished writing this video, I'm editing this video right now, and I just thought of something. Remember how I said that this line about licensing concerns implies that Icy wasn't created for Icy's Petsa? Well, there's an additional connection we can make here relating to the Forgotten Man. The Forgotten Man song that plays in chapters 1 and 2, along with the Man Country version and the melody that's used in the chapter 4 song, actually don't originate from Deltarune. Most likely, I mean, maybe Toby made them for Deltarune, but they also go back to 2012, and I kind of doubt that the Forgotten Man was conceptualized that early. Instead, they originate from a collection of Yumaniki fan songs posted on Toby's Tumblr. The man's theme wasn't made for the Forgotten Man originally, but now it's used for him, like how Icy wasn't created for the restaurant, but soon became the face of it. And I probably don't even need to get into how the Forgotten Man connects to, or is probably Gaster. Okay, back to this video I wrote last year. Help me. And now, let's talk about Icy's. That was my video essay YouTuber joke. Did you like it? A common Gaster motif is the smile. This is obviously muse_smile.ogg, which is the background audio that plays during entry 17. It also plays when using a cell phone in the dark world, as well as a super slowed down version being used near the shelter. It's totally not important at all. There's also this unused dialogue from Waterfall that talks about someone behind Frisk having a creepy smile and then disappearing that could be referring to Gaster, given how the Mystery Man sprite has this creepy ass smile and it disappears after you interact with it. To be honest though, I'm not entirely sure if that dialogue refers to Gaster, considering it was brought up during the 10th anniversary streams. So it's either Gaster acknowledgement or it's about someone else. I think it's equally possible that it could be about Flowey, considering he smiles a lot and can also disappear underground quickly. It could also be Sans, but I don't know why the fuck would he be here. But it still could be Gaster. And there's more connections with Gaster and a smile, but you get the point. So why am I bringing this up? I don't know, you tell me. Icy very notably has this large-ass smile in every appearance. Minus the pipes, I guess, but you can't really see his face there, so how would you know? Seriously, in every Icy appearance, he's smiling. He's smiling as a statue. The warrior, who looks like Icy, is always smiling. This pain scale that Icy is on says he's happy on both ends of the pain spectrum. Why the fuck is he always smiling? But let's think of some other characters that are always smiling. Sans and Papyrus. I wonder what the Gaster connection here is. Oh! Let's look at Jevil. He met a strange someone who drove him crazy. When talking about this, Sham literally drops a Gaster quote. Man, I wonder. Spamton. Huh. Friend. You fucking get it. Basically, every other character that notably always smiles is connected to Gaster in some way. There's also a rules card. What is going on with this guy? Why the hell does he speak in hands here? Who are you? Okay, minus him, I guess. The point stands. Nearly every single character that always smiles is connected to Gaster, who is heavily connected to smiles as a motif of his character. And given everything else we've talked about with Icy and Gaster, this is just another connection between the two. And continuing on Icy's appearance, green. Now, Icy isn't normally green, but he is here. Why does this matter? Green Gaster. We're not gonna go super in depth on the green Gaster theory because this video is already way longer than it should be. But RGB, Papyrus is red, Sans is blue, green is the color in between. Another $7 billion to Brother Gaster, please. Though to be honest, Icy being green here on its own is not important in the slightest. But why does he get fucking, like, shattered here? What's going on here? Quick thank you to Tiny Hater on Twitter for saying any of this at all, by the way. But to throw my hat in the ring, look at his catchphrase. It's a lot of nothing. But if you look closer at the letters here, you can see that it does have a G, an A, and an S, and an E and an R. 5 letters out of Gaster's name. Missing a T. Missing a letter in between. The 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 letter.
He's insane. Someone's giving me Undertale.
So, in conclusion, with everything I've talked about today, is Icy Gaster? Are you serious? Hell no. There is a 0.01% chance that Icy is actually Gaster, because why would Toby ever write that? Let's not kid ourselves here. Yes, they have parallels, but they are not at all the same character. That's the same logic that leads you to piles of Azrael's dust, so it's not a very great line of reasoning. No hate to Jaru, by the way. I actually enjoy his theories, even if I vehemently disagree with them. Well, except for piles of Azrael's dust. I really don't like that theory. Bralse is my favorite character, so this theory is a personal attack on me specifically. But that's a boring conclusion, right? This would just be a repeat of the Starwalker theory I did, and while that theory was a joke, it's just kind of lame to say all this stuff and then say, yeah, no, I just said all that for no reason. Not to say I'm never doing that again, because I probably will, but for specifically full-on joke theories. Which means, yes, this theory, while not entirely serious, obviously, is not a joke. So what the hell is my conclusion? Well, Icy may not be Gaster, but I do think he represents Gaster in some way. Or maybe he doesn't necessarily represent Gaster himself, as much as he represents the decade-long hunt in the Undertale community for Gaster. So yeah, I'm saying that Icy is another way for Toby Fox to make fun of theorists. Icy in the Deltarune world is kind of like what Gaster is to us. He's everywhere, and most people don't really care for Icy or anything, but then you have those people who do in some way. You know, those people who don't really believe in the rumors about him and just use him for, like, jokes and shit. But then you have those who do believe, which is like Gaster. Most people who play Undertale and Deltarune aren't gonna know who Gaster is at this point unless they interact with the community literally at all. And even then, the opinions on Gaster's importance are pretty split. You have Gaster deniers who just don't really think he's gonna be very important due to how secretive everything about him is, even if there is a lot of direct evidence that may support otherwise. But then you have the people who do think there's something up with Gaster, and they're the people who are going to try to look into it. Noelle kind of parallels people into Deltarune fanbase in some ways, as she's the kind of character who evidently goes hunting for secrets in games and tries to solve mysteries. She's like people in the theorist community, which is probably one of the reasons why she was picked for the weird route, a route all about breaking the game, where you use someone who would maybe do the same thing in a game in their world. Obviously, it's far from the only reason why she would be picked for that. There's a lot more, like, important reasons in the story, but I'm just throwing that out there. It's also why she's now thrust into a mystery in her own personal life regarding deaths. Icy, while he's a lot less of a serious mystery in the Deltarune universe in comparison to Gaster, is still a mystery, I suppose. Is he real? Is he a cryptid? We don't know, and nor does any other character in the game. And it's pretty interesting how Icy may represent the hunt to solve the mystery of Gaster, considering how much Gaster seems to represent mysteries himself. Not only is the sprite that is probably him literally named Mystery Man, but you also have all of the stuff with the Forgotten Man, who is also probably Gaster, and how he represents Easter eggs in video games. And the fact that Gaster is so secret, and there hasn't really been direct confirmation of anything about him, even down to the whole shrouded in darkness thing, it's like he's supposed to be a mystery. We're supposed to be theorizing about this guy and trying to figure out who he is. So, is Icy Gaster? No, that would suck, and it would only suck. However, Icy may still be connected thematically to Gaster through the idea of mystery. Oh, wait, this is a video entirely about Gaster, and I haven't even done it once yet. Okay, hang on. This is tradition here. Fuck you, Gaster! Aww. Wow, credits in a RageNade video. This is what 6 months of me being gone led up to. Hi, it's me, the video guy from the video. If you follow this channel at all, you may know that I haven't uploaded to Theory in like 9 months now, and I've been gone from the channel for like 6 months. And that's totally because I wanted this Gaster-related theory to be uploaded on June 6th, 2026. There's 3 6s in today's date. That was totally the plan. Okay, but for real, as much as I'd like to say that I've been chipping away at this video the entire time, you and I can both see that's not the case. Really? A 20-minute video took 9 months to finish? No, not really. This video did take a while, and I hope that can come across considering I think it has some of my most intensive editing yet, but it still could have been done in less than a month. In reality, I've just been struggling a lot with mental and physical health issues since probably December, and that's made it hard to find any motivation to really finish this video. But now that I'm back and I've done this, and this fucking burden is lifted, I remembered, hey, making videos is actually really fun. So I guess I'm back. I'd like to get another video out before Chapter 5's launch, but there's a big problem with that, and it's that Chapter 5 could launch in literally like 30 minutes, and Toby just hasn't told us. So no guarantees there. I originally wanted to make a bigger video that would chronicle my attempts to fully dissect and analyze the soul, so like, yeah, actual analysis and not just batshit insane theorizing all the time. But while I still will be starting that project, I heavily doubt that it's going to be done before Chapter 5, considering it's probably going to be a longer video, and I'm going to have to replay the entire game to catch any small details worth talking about, so you'll probably see that later this year. So I'm not sure when you'll see me next, but it won't take 6 months this time. Hopefully. Thank you for watching. Fuck, this video is done. Wow, this video sucks. Okay, bye.